Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Iyori Folane. Tomorrow is the Ekiti election. Yesterday, I was a bit ahead of myself. Everything I was saying was giving the impression that today was the election. I guess maybe I was a bit too anxious. Sorry about that. So it's tomorrow, of course, and TVC News has a crew over in Ekiti. Sarah Yeku is our man. Yeah, I know Sarah is not a guy, but you know what I mean. Sarah's our man, and she's not alone. There are a lot of other reporters over in Ekiti. So we'll cross over to Sarah. Good morning to you, Sarah.
Good morning.
Now, so were you looking good with the bright smile? It seems to indicate that everything is, hunky-dory. We're just waiting. Just give us an update, please, on the state of preparation.
I can tell you that since I've been covering elections for quite some time now, I've never seen this kind of excitement that I'm getting from residents in Ekiti State. Early this morning from my hotel room, I could hear people downstairs, saying election is tomorrow. So it tells you how people are, excited, of course, interested in this process, wanting to elect a governor that would see them through the next 4 years. And the excitement, of course, is in the air. Of course, you have so many election observers, you have the international observers, and all across. And of course, INEC is saying that it is ready. Yesterday they distributed the sensitive materials, to the 16 local government areas of Ekiti State. And with the way they moved swiftly, of course, collaborating with the police, collaborating with other security agencies, collaborating with the NURTW, collaborating, of course, with residents around, you would see it that INEC, of course, wants to prove a point. They want to say that they're ready, they're unbiased, they are, of course, ready to see through this process and, of course, adjudge it so that election observers will adjudge this as a free and fair election. So this is the state INEC office here in Ado-Ekiti, and this is where the materials moved to. This is one of the places the materials moved to from the state headquarters just down the road. So around here, you'd see the INEC ad hoc staff, checking the list for their names to see where they've been posted. So they've been doing this since morning, of course, trying to get a hang of where they've been posted, what would happen next, the team they are working with as presiding officers and APOs. So earlier we had spoken with the supporting resident electoral commissioner in charge of Ado-Ekiti, and he said that any moment from now they will be bringing together the party agents. They will bring together party agents and some other INEC staff so that before they fill the materials that are starched here and then batch them into the different registration areas. So right now we're just waiting for those party agents to come in. We're also waiting for INEC officials also to come in, and then the process will start. And so any moment from now or later tonight, the registration area centers would be set up, for this election to go smoothly. But INEC is saying they are ready, and the people, of course, are saying they are ready. But then, of course, the question here is, and I think the worry of most election observers is that some of these voters have been induced. That's what they've been saying. So I'm going to be bringing in one election observer, of course, to give us his own point of view and, of course, talk to us about what he has seen so far, from INEC's preparation for this election to the political parties' campaigns and rallies and how they've been trying to canvass people to come out to vote. It's good to have you join us on the news at this time. But looking at from your own point of view, what would you say is your biggest worry when you look at the way INEC has prepared for this particular election?
Well, my biggest concern would be that how serious are the people in coming out tomorrow, election day. From what I've seen on ground, the security is top-notch. We just hope that they will live up to the billing tomorrow, which is election day proper. We have seen security operatives deployed to border points such that when you are coming into town, you are stopped and you are talked to politely. You are told to open your boot, they check you. So the security is top-notch. You would also look at the political parties. They've had their last round of campaigns yesterday, and today maybe they'll be going around doing the door-to-door campaign. The INEC has distributed the sensitive materials as at yesterday, and as we are awaiting the tomorrow to come, one expects that the people of Ekiti, like I have also observed, that they walk the talk, that they are going to come out tomorrow to cast their votes for the candidate of their choice.
Looking at the dynamics here, Ekiti State seems to be pretty peculiar when you look at dynamics from 2009 when this election, was when we have this switch that, this staggered where you don't have them conduct elections as other states do. What are the dynamics here? And when you look at the dynamics, what are you seeing as an election observer?
Well, the dynamics, like we always say, that politics is local. The people have their own dynamics that determines where they are going to vote, And looking at the temperament here, as an election observer, you'll have seen the undercurrents. But as an observer, I'm not supposed, to pitch my tent with anybody. To just go out there, observe how the election will go, and when the result comes out, the people themselves, will celebrate, or, they will do otherwise, meaning that those that would have lost will go back. And, tomorrow is another day for them to plan ahead in the next 4 years.
Some persons have adjudged the Electoral Act 2022 as being some kind of magic, performing some kind of magic, to seeing that how INEC has been able to, of course, dispatch the sensitive materials and non-sensitive materials in quick time. But what would you like to say concerning that? Do you think elections year after, would be a smooth process than what we've had before in Nigeria?
Well, the developments on ground now is that how INEC conducts its activities today will signpost what we should look forward to in 2023 general election. This is a litmus test for INEC, and one hopes that they've crossed all their I's and dotted their T's. So we are very, very hopeful that, INEC being what they are, that they will live up to the billing, that we'll have an election that will tell us that, look, Nigerians, we have, taking a leap forward with regards to elections.
Thank you so much, Nelson Ekiti. He's an election observer, of course, here in Ekiti State, talking to us about, of course, observing how things are panning out here in Ekiti State. But other election observers are saying that technology could be a big problem, which is what INEC has employed for this election. Okiori.
Right there. Now, thank you, Sarah. We'll touch base with you again. Of course, I know that you and the guys are all out there. Thank you very much. Proceeding on the program, let's take a package put together by our Demola Lawrence. He's one of the team that I've just mentioned in Ekiti.
With sensitive and non-sensitive materials being deployed by the Independent National Electoral Commission, the Nigerian police and other security agencies have deployed to the 16 local governments and 167 wards in the state for the election. Addressing journalists and stakeholders at the state's police headquarters, the Deputy Inspector General of Police said the police and other security agencies are ready to secure the state from violence.
We are doing this in synergy with other security services. So you are not going to see the officers and men of the Nigerian police alone. You are going to see officers and men of other services. And that was why I said before now that the border towns, of course, had been earmarked and, of course, allocated for the military. Anybody coming into Ekiti now will see them in all those areas. And, of course, you see the police, the civil defense, right within the town, the DSS, doing the needful. All these, of course, are efforts to ensure that we create a conducive atmosphere and enabling environment for the conduct of free, fair, and, of course, credible elections.
The DIG also said there will not be any armed men close to the polling units, but in case of violence, there are some of the armed units not far from distance to attend to violence.
I assure you again that we are not posting armed men to the polling booths, but we will have armed units not far at a distance considered reasonable to attend to violent issues where necessary. And those that will bear arms, of course, have been admonished to do that, to carry their arms with the diligence it requires.
With the election getting closer, the security agencies saddled with the responsibility of keeping law and order are ready for the task ahead. Ademola Lawrence, TVC News, Ekiti.
Okay, it's our coverage on TVC News of the Ekiti election, starting from, that is the one of tomorrow. But of course, as you know, we've been on this particular theme since yesterday, as a matter of fact. So we're going to be on it, from today into tomorrow and right up to as long as it takes. Now, Sarah Ayeku, that opened the program with us at the very top this morning, she did an earlier report, and she was talking when in that little, that short exchange that I had with her, she was talking about INEC's handling of sensitive materials. She did a report on that earlier that goes into a bit more detail. We'll take that now.
This is the final lap of the first phase of this election. The distribution of sensitive materials to 16 local government areas across Ekiti State.
Security men, most of them from the police force, waiting to be deployed across the state alongside election materials that will be batched in different registration areas.
Already we have distributed non-sensitive material to these, our offices. The last material they are waiting for is the sensitive material, which they are going to get today, and it will go to their local government and Minister of Security. 4
national commissioners and 8 resident electoral commissioners have been deployed to ensure Ekiti experiences a credible election. More than 749,000 voters, representing 76% of the total registered voters, have collected their permanent voter cards. The sensitive materials include ballot paper, result sheets, forms EC8B, collation sheets and beavers machine to 177 wards and 2,445 polling units.
We intend to distribute all the sensitive materials, and this forms part of the transparency that we have been embarking upon in the commission. Not only saying this, but to see it that we are indeed transparent.
All eyes are gradually shifting from INEC's office to the polls on Saturday when residents elect a governor of their choice.
I think INEC has actually come of age, because even if you look at the ballot papers colors, they are entirely different from one area to the other. So that means INEC is ready to work and to make sure that our votes count. But I think the problem now is hereby. We should forget about talking about INEC. We should face ourselves in the community.
New Electoral Act 2022, having repealed out of 2010, perform a wonderful, I can't call it a magic, because it strengthened this process and it also enhanced the process as well. We believe that by Saturday, everything will get clear to everyone.
Agents and election observers say they are satisfied with INEC's preparedness for this election, but they say that the success of this election depends largely on the safety and security of voters and election materials and the freedom of a voter to make his choice without any form of inducement. Sarah Ayeku, TVC News, Ekiti.
Okay, so you've had 2 helpings of Sarah Ayeku. That was not live, but she started off live, as I had said preceding that report. She had done that report earlier on INEC and the handling of its sensitive materials. Okay, Mr. Kesandu has come on the line. Good morning to you.
Uncle Yori, sir.
Good morning, sir. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Uncle Yori, I want to say that elections are processes that we're going to use to make our society better. I want to appeal to the conscience of Ekiti people. But before I go to Ekiti people, I want to tell the Nigerian police force and the security agencies. You see, we have seen thousands and thousands of policemen and military men and civil defense and everything that will be deployed. Now, I want to ask a question. After all this holding, how do these hoodlums come to even cut away ballot boxes and everything with all these sophisticated military people and police people? I want to appeal to them. Tomorrow, stand for the Ekiti people. They should protect the INEC has made an improvement. A good improvement on the part of INEC. But the security people should guarantee the people we're going to have a free, fair, and to reasonable extent credible election tomorrow. And I appeal to the conscience of the
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesando. I think we lost that call towards the end, but we did get the gist of what you were talking about, and indeed we shall bring it up as we go along, because we're also scheduled to speak with the gentleman in charge, the officer in charge, Johnson Babatunde Kokumo, the Deputy Inspector General of Police Force Crime Investigation Department, but he's the guy who's in charge of security for the Ekiti election. You saw a picture of him, I think in, was it Sarah's report? But the policeman you saw, that is the gentleman. And we'll be speaking with, that's him, that's the Deputy Inspector General of Police Force Crime Investigation Department, but he's on a special assignment as the man in charge of security, which from all accounts, well, the general preparations, including security, you know, they're all in top gear. As I was saying, TVC is going to be on this, as it always is when it comes to national elections. Or, well, this isn't exactly a national election, but any important election, TVC is always on it. And as I said, later on, we shall be speaking with him. Now, in Ekiti, as you know, there's 16 parties on the ballot, and so arrangements. You just heard some observers there say that it was pretty impressive from their point of view. The next thing, as I think Nelson Ekujumi was saying, is that he just hopes the people come out and vote. But all the indications are looking good. Everybody's enthusiastic. Everybody wants to be there. In fact, if we were to go by these pictures, there isn't a problem. This is pretty much like a normal, ordinary day. But, you know, as we know, the camera can usually, you know, aim at a particular location, and you do need context. And that's why we have Sarah Ayeku, as well as a team in there, Demola, Lawrence, Ayo, Zubaku, they're all up there, Sukwo, they're all up there in Ekiti, just generally being on top of things and just making sure that everything is as it should be, and being there to give you a blow-by-blow account. It's going to be, as you know, just as if you were in Ekiti. There are those, though, who say that, look, yeah, that's cool, but I must go to Ekiti. So many people traveled, either observers or, you know, people who are, you know, how does one put it? Yeah, they're stakeholders. They have an interest, and it all goes to election. This is a pretty active period, as you know, apart from the Ekiti election, which is which we're in the middle of now. The election proper will start tomorrow. But on the wider political horizon, you know that the main opposition party, the PDP, has chosen its running mate. The APC is, you know, very, very shortly, it can't but be otherwise, going to announce its own as well. That's the larger picture of the whole, shall we say, you know, political territory at the moment. But we will be connecting with Mr. Kokumo, as I said earlier. In the meantime, I don't know, perhaps we could get 1 or 2 calls. Thank you for calling in Kesandu earlier. But as I said, we are waiting to connect up now with the Deputy Inspector General of Police Force Crime Investigation. Okay. Okay, then. So that's sort of a preview, almost like, of Mr. Johnson Babatunde Kokumo, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, will be speaking with. We'll also be taking your calls later on in the program, not now. We're waiting to connect up with him. But in the meantime, let's take a short break. Stay with us, please. Okay, still this morning on TVC. Sorry about that short delays. We're working on it because we're linking up with Mr. Kokumo, the police officer in charge of security for the Ekiti election. As we are saying, everything appears to be set for that election. Newspapers are reporting, for instance, that the All Progressive Congress in Ekiti State has asked everybody, especially in Ekiti State, to discount the rumor that, the court has nullified the party's governorship primary. That's not the case. APC State Publicity Secretary Shekun Dikwe, made that particular announcement. And just by the way, ZLP, the Zenith Labour Party in the state on Thursday, actually said that it has decided with its people to support Abiodun Oyebanji, which is the candidate, who is the candidate of the APC there. Just tidbits there. And I believe we can now link up with Mr. Kokumo, the DIG Force Headquarters and officer in charge of security in the Ekiti election. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Okay. What I'd like to start with, from reports we've had up to now, everything looks good. But I thought I'd ask for your professional assessment of the state of security in Ekiti, especially as concerns the election tomorrow and the processes leading up to it from now.
Thank you very much. We are on the ground for very serious business, and that is to ensure that the whole exercise is hitch-free. The Nigerian police, in synergy with other sister law enforcement agencies, are here to provide an enabling environment for hitch-free elections in Ekiti. Our deployments have been concluded, and we believe strongly that everything will go well.
I heard you earlier, we all did who were watching television, saying that there were going to be officers stationed outside of the state. Just outside, or is it just inside of the state? Security details like this usually come as a result of maybe your experience, intelligence, and all of that. Are you apprehensive that there could be some, not too good intentions coming from outside of the state into the state?
Thank you very much. This we have actually put in place as a proactive measure because before now we've had a mop-up exercise involving mopping up firearms and other dangerous weapons of violence in the communities. After having done that, we felt strongly that there was the need on our part to put adequate security at the border towns to police the exit and inlets and outlets in and out of Ekiti State. This, of course, is intended to make sure that criminal elements planning to make incursion from contiguous states are kept off Ekiti State for us to have a seamless exercise.
Could you tell us a bit more, please, about the mop-up that you spoke about just now, which you explained as, it is what it sounds, mopping up illegal arms around the place. First of all, what was the size of the problem? Was it a matter of getting hold of a few handguns, or was it much more extensive than that? Are you at liberty to share some of that information with us?
It wasn't quite massive, it wasn't, but it has always been practice as a form of proactive measure to ensure that we do not allow people in possession of illegal arms and ammunition to have them during the election or after the election for them not to be able to wreak havoc. So having done that, we felt strongly again that criminal elements who may want to bring in lethal weapon for the purpose of the election may want to do so using the contiguous states. And that, of course, was what informed our reasoning for putting in place such security measure. And, of course, we have the security measure in two layers. We have the military at the outer layer, and we also have the police and other agencies at the inner layer. This is intended to checkmate the movement into Ekiti State, the movement of criminal elements. And I want to seize this opportunity to appeal to members of the public to please cooperate with us, because at these entry points, our personnel may have to subject citizens to rigorous checks. The rigorous checks, of course, are not meant to make them uncomfortable. The rigorous checks, of course, are not meant to trample on their rights. We have actually admonished them to have very healthy respect for the rights of the citizens while carrying out their statutory duties of providing security for lives and property.
Okay, there's an interesting point there. The police will maintain the sort of the inner layer, and the army will be an outer sort of a layer. That means that your modus operandi will be that it's only the police, where necessary, that will actually engage with the populace, and not soldiers.
Come again with your question.
Okay, I was sort of observing that do we get it right, where from what you said, that the army will be maintaining an outer layer of security, thinking of this in terms of rings, an outer ring of security, then the police will be on the inner ring. I said, does this mean that it's the police that will actually be engaging with the populace where it becomes necessary, and not the soldiers?
Correct. Very, very correct. This is to place enough of civility in our interaction with members of the public. And that was why I said we are making an appeal to members of the public to cooperate with us. Okay. It is for a short while. It is not something that's going to be permanent. It is just for the purpose of this election.
Earlier, you were saying that even though it was minimal, this exercise you conducted to rid the state of illegal arms, you said it was minimal, but it has been done. I was going to ask, those people from whom arms were recovered, police found it necessary to recover because it's illegal arms that we're talking about, are they going to be further processed, or was it just a matter of taking it off them, and can they pick them up later on? I mean, are they likely to be prosecuted now that you've actually been able to dispossess some people of illegal arms in Ekiti?
Whoever is found in possession of illegal arms is liable to prosecution. We will investigate, know the source of such arms and ammunition, know the source of such dangerous weapon, and after our investigations, there will be diligent prosecution of offenders. Not only those found in possession of illegal firearms, those who have committed one form of offense or the other relating to the Electoral Act. The Electoral Act had actually created some offenses. So whoever, Electoral Act 2022 has amended, so whoever had run foul of the provisions of the Electoral Act definitely will be subjected to prosecution, diligent prosecution.
And talking about firearms, just for a little bit more, there could also be dangerous implements that aren't necessarily firearms. I'm sure the police has an eye on that as well, that such implements shall not be put to misuse.
We are out for all manners of weapons, dangerous weapons that could be used to wreak violence, wreak injury on others, and make the entire exercise violent. We are out for such weapons, and we will not relent.
Just a bit earlier on the program, a viewer of ours had called in and was recalling instances in past elections where we saw such spectacles as ballot boxes being, hijacked, as it were, and people running off with them. Those kind of things, I imagine you've made preparations, will certainly not be in evidence in Ekiti.
We have put in place adequate security to ensure that voters get to their various polling booths and perform their civic responsibility of voting without any fear of molestation. Adequate arrangement has been put in place to ensure that, and we don't foresee crisis. And let me quickly add this, that this, of course, has been done in synergy with other law enforcement agencies. It is not a one-man show. There is a synergy. We have had our ESES meetings. There is synergy with other law enforcement agencies, the military, the civil defense, the immigration, the customs, the fire service. We are all working together to ensure that the exercise is a hit-free one.
Okay. Now, the figures we're getting is that 17,000 policemen and soldiers are deployed for this Ekiti operation. 17,000 is a sizable, number when it comes to security. Yet you don't want to sort of militarize, is it the word, the place. I'm sure you're also thinking about that. Probably they won't all be concentrated in one place because it still is a civilian affair.
Yes, we have the men scattered all over the state. We have our policemen in all the nooks and crannies. The idea is to provide adequate security for all and sundry. We will not want criminal elements to come and hijack the process. It is better for us to hear that the electorates were overprotected than hearing that the electorates were underprotected, that the physical presence of security agencies, I want to believe, will even serve a lot of deterrence for offenders and, of course, for would-be offenders. So that is the idea behind this large number of officers deployed for this exercise. And we have actually taken conscious efforts to know what we will require, the number of personnel that we will require to really do a proper job, to really create a conducive and, of course, an enabling environment for a hit-free exercise. And that is the exact number we have deployed. As professionals, we should not do anything short of that.
Well, I want to thank you, Mr. J.B. Kokumo, Deputy Inspector General of Police Force Crime Investigation Department, but on a special assignment to secure the election in Ekiti. You seem satisfied, and that's going to be very reassuring to all of our listeners, in fact, across the country, and certainly inside Ekiti State. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
And thank you so much for having me.
Indeed. Okay, we're still continuing our coverage, and while we're waiting to link back with some of the reporters that are on the ground in Ekiti State, there are other aspects of it. For instance, the president of the Court of Appeal, we see reported in the newspapers, has set up the Ekiti State Governorship Election Tribunal to hear any sort of, any petitions that might result from it. And I was telling you earlier that ZLP the Zenith Labour Party in the state has collapsed its efforts, saying that now they'll, put all their resources and all their votes towards the candidates of the ruling party in APC, in Ekiti State. As I said, we're waiting to link up again with our reporters in there, and maybe later on we'll be able to also, get some calls in. But in the meantime, it does look as if everything is set now. All that's left is for INEC to finish with its preparations, or shall we say conclude with its preparations. I imagine there's not going to be much of a break between when it does that and the election itself, because I can just foresee that INEC is going to be working around the clock on this. You heard some observers earlier in the program saying that they couldn't really be more pleased with INEC, and that INEC has done its bit, and those people were actually speaking to the citizenry. So it's now up to the people to do their bit and cooperate with all the extensive efforts that have been laid down to ensure a successful election. 16 candidates will be vying for places, but as I said, one of them at least, as of now, going by newspaper reports, has said that it's going to join up with the ruling party. So everything looks fine at the moment, but no problem. We expect it to continue to be looking fine, but we will still be on it right through the day for as long as it takes, right through the day, and indeed until tomorrow. Okay, welcome back. And as I said, let's go back to where we started from. We started with Sarah Ayeko at the top of the program. She's she's part of the Ekiti election team in there. So Sarah, well, it's not been all that long a time since we were speaking with you live earlier. Has much changed? I was saying that, is there anything else to report? Has much changed since we spoke with you live at the top of the program?
Of course, we have new developments. So, you know that INEC had deployed about, they said they will be deploying about 10,269 personnel for this particular election to, of course, cater to about 76%.
Okay, yeah, it happens. It is the network condition. But Sarah there was just telling us that, yeah, something a bit more has happened. It doesn't matter how incremental, we should be all over it, see what we can do to bring it to you. Incremental drips or even floods. We've got the people over there to take care of that which would be like streams or even floods. But even incremental, as I was saying. So Sarah is about to tell us about some sort of a development that has happened. And as soon as we can get the network to sort of link back with Sarah, that will be that. So right now, what we know is that I believe the sensitive materials are being handled the way they should be handled. They will soon be where they should be and be ready for tomorrow. In the meantime, everything looks to be going well. We've spoken with the police, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, who is in charge of security over the Ekiti election, has said that he's satisfied. They have 17,000 men, not just of the police, but also soldiers and other forces deployed. So let's see if we can get, Sarah, we were talking earlier and then the network went and intervened. Please continue now, at least we can hear your voice.
INEC has deployed 4 national commissioners and 8 resident electoral commissioners drawn from other states. And of course, the ideas scattered across various government states. But the issue now is for the other staff, some of which had of course, sent for the training, for 3-day training. Some of them are not seeing their names on the list here, especially here.
especially here in Ekiti, where I'm stationed. So I'm going to be speaking with one of them, one of the ad hoc staff, who is not too happy with the situation. Thank you so much for joining us. But can you tell us, did you register to be an ad hoc staff, and what's the situation? Why is your name not on the list?
My name is Akefumelayo. I registered for this INEC training, and I noticed that as I registered for the training, I spent 3 days there, and I noticed that when I came this morning to check my name, and I did not find out my name there. So I'm so surprised I did not see my name there. So, and I don't know what to do now. Even those that did not even come for the training, their names appeared there, and they are even underage. So I don't know what to do about this situation. When I talked to someone inside, he said I should go out, I should go to somewhere ranking station or something. So I don't just know what to do about it. So that's what is happening now.
The question I want to ask you is, why did you decide? Why did you register to be an ad hoc staff?
Just because I want this election should be a perfect and peaceful election. So I just want everything to be okay, because a lot of things are happening here and there. So I just want to try to make things all right and things to be all right in this nation. That's why I registered for this INEC election.
So she's just one of some of the persons here, stationed around here, of course, trying to check for their name. She also told me earlier that somebody did his own training in Ilawe, and then fortunately or unfortunately, the person's name is on the list here in Ekiti. So these are the abnormalities, I would call it, for these persons who, unquote and unquote, decided to disfranchise themselves from this process to be ad hoc staff for INEC, and then their names are not on the list. So that's like the new development here. Hopefully we'll be able to get the resident electoral commissioner who is stationed here, of course, to give us some more information about why this person's name are not on the list. Earlier when I spoke to him, he had said that there was a test, to ascertain that the ad hoc staff will not be compromised on election day. So INEC, of course, on its part is trying to ensure that this process is transparent, but then there is no explanation to the ad hoc staff who have not seen their names on the list as to why their names are not there.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Sarah. We'll cut away from you again. Maybe the next shift, so to speak, maybe they'll catch you when you have the INEC resident commissioner there. Thank you very much, Sarah. And, just as that lady was saying in there, that Sarah was speaking with, a lot of things are happening here and there. Most Nigerians can interpret that when, an ordinary member of the public, a non-professional, says that. A lot of things are happening here and there. And that was part of the reason she gave for wanting to, be part of this, to sign up as an ad hoc staff, to just do her bit to be sure that everything was as it should be. But we sort of are reassured by Mr. Johnson Babatunde Kokumo, the DIG who is in charge of security there, who had said that, they are prepared for all eventualities, including all those things happening here and there. We want to believe that everything is under control. Is there a caller on the line? I didn't hear that.
Yes, it's Ade.
Oh, Mr. Ade from the UK. Good morning to you.
How are you, Doctor? You're a very long time. My contribution is this. I want to appeal to TVC to make this program 1.5 hours. And they should allow you to come tomorrow for a special program so we can debate about the president. We go as for EPP to hear about their vice president. So you can make a special program tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
And for this program should be 1.5 hours. And we are praying for TVC is the best in the whole world. So they should grant.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ade in the UK. Yeah, a lot of you out there say the program should be, the duration of the program should be extended from what it is 1 hour to 90 minutes. Some even say why not 2 hours? We need the time to speak. But it doesn't matter really for your purposes, in the sense that TVC is going to be all over this election. The fact that we cut out shortly to take the news, and then after that, you'll find that TVC will be on top of it. Am I hearing another caller? Mr. George in Ikeja, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Pierre, and thank you for the great job you guys are doing.
Very kind, sir.
I listened to the police DIG, and Uncle Yori, I'm wondering why PDP, a party that prides itself for law and order, and they are seeking to take over the governance of the country in the next election, will not commit itself to peace agreement. I understand they refuse to sign peace agreement, and they want to win an election. That speaks volumes. I think INEC should consider sanctions for such parties. That's just what I want to say this morning. Good morning.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. And, noted. But as I said, your comment has been noted. But as I said, Mr. Ade from the UK, no fear. TVC will be all over the Ekiti election. We'll take a break for the news, naturally, at 12 noon. But as you know, if need be, sometimes, if it's important enough, we will lakata over that from here to there. So, but thank you for being with us today on the program. Please join us on Monday, which is the next scheduled date for This Morning on TVC, which doesn't mean that there won't be political programs right through the weekend. Please join us on Monday for a fresh edition of This Morning on TVC. I'm Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.